We're just at the northern end of Guadeloupe. Unfortunately, with all the troubles we've had, we can't stop. I would have loved to have stopped at least in some islands further south called the Saints, but yes, the whole problems we had delayed us by another 15 days, so we're gonna have to give it a miss this time around.
15 days meaning steering cable and MDI.
Yeah, steering cable and the MDI.
Steering by foot, just because I feel like it.
We're at the southern end of Martinique, and as you can see there is Diamond Rock, which we passed a few months ago heading north from St. Lucia through to Antigua. And as you recall, that's where the British had climbed it and set up a bunch of cannons back in the early 19th century and started taking shots at all the French yachts and big ships that were passing by. Well, we finally arrived in Marin, and I don't believe how busy it is. I knew there'd be a lot of yachts here, but even just anchored, there must be 1,000 yachts just inside the lagoon, and plus another 800 in the marina. This is some yachting centre. I dare say probably the biggest in the Caribbean. Well, even though we've got a reservation, the marina's asked us to wait out 1 or 2 hours. It's that full. And so we're on a holding pattern just outside on anchor. And as you can see, it's very, very packed around here. This morning's job is to make the MDI switch in preparation. Look, just in case the first MDI and then the second MDI that we got spare just has any faults in it, then we can flick the switch and at least be able to start the engine. So I hate to think if we can't start the engine anywhere across the Pacific, you know, dropping into a deep anchorage, dropping anchor in a deep anchorage, or if we are trying to get through an atoll on a windy day, strong currents, etc. So just getting ready just in case. So as you can see, I've crimped some wires onto a switch. It's a Cole Hersey switch, but any on-off switch will do. And then on the other side, I'll also crimp some other little attachments that we can plug onto the MDIs.
Martinique is part of France, and the French sure know how to do good bakery goods. I used to work in a bakery. I really love bakeries. So we're up for a treat this morning.
Croissant with ham and cheese.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. Well, here's something. I talked to our neighbour who owns a Bavaria. We know them all the way from Las Palmas. They crossed the Atlantic with us. And I noticed he's got Jeffa steering, so it's the generation of Bavarias that do have Jeffa as well. And I mentioned to him the problem that we had with our steering cable and the fact that it was 304 steel because it was magnetic. Now, he said, well, his is 316 because he has tested it and it's not magnetic. So it's a rather confusing situation where Jeffa says all the cables are 316, ours is magnetic, and there's very few things that are 316 and magnetic, and said 304 is more rust prone. So yeah. The other thing he said is that allegedly it's a common problem on Hanzas. So, and he says that Hansa is sourcing the 304 system from Jeffa, while Bavaria is paying a bit more money and getting 316. Sorry, I'm not particularly happy with any of that.
It's been a good little stop here in Martinique. We've enjoyed some bakery treats, but also done a pretty big shop because it's fairly cheap here and well-stocked supermarkets. But as well as that, Richard from Wingcraft has been fantastic in providing suggestions on what else we should stock as spares that are hard to find across the Pacific, and he's done that trip himself. So speaking from first-hand experience as well as Wingcraft's knowledge of what's out there, so we've bought a spare alternator, spare starter motor, spare water pump. What else have we got, Phil?
That's it.
And of course we're going to get the MDI, but we'll get that one in St. Lucia this afternoon because we know they've got a really new one that should be a new batch and should not have the same problems that the others have had, the older ones.
To be fair, we thought we were ready for sailing across oceans before we set sail across the Atlantic. We had installed redundancy to key systems, including additional electricity generation through the Watt and Sea, as well as the recently acquired portable solar panel, navigation maps on tablets as backup to the chart plotter, and a spare VHF radio with AIS, just to name a few. We installed the boom brake to avoid breaking the boom, we fixed a crack in between our keel and hull, and we had the rig checked thoroughly before leaving the Canary Islands to cross the Atlantic. And we replaced the main halyard that was chafing when we arrived in the Caribbean and stayed on top of any other potential wear and tear and maintenance issues. We had thought we were ready. Perhaps we were naive to think that a relatively new boat wouldn't have had serious issues so soon. Hopefully getting these key spares will get us safely across the Pacific.
Right, short and sweet in Martinique, but we are getting ready to go. Bonjour. Al, are we ready? Okay, so I'll give you some slack.
Yeah, please.
Not yet. I'm still on. Okay, we're off. Okay, we're good. Okay, merci beaucoup. I'm up here because some fishermen have left out the crate pots right in the channel coming out of the marina. I don't know what they're thinking, because some yacht's just going to grab it around the keel, rudder, propeller, whatever. No one's going to be happy.